ready to chug some beers and make some bad gambling picks. Welcome to ChuggieBets. So all week, I was trying to work on making a gingerbread martini. A gingerbread martini, I saw the cutest video on IG and TikTok, and I was influenced, right? After like 30 iterations and me being like hammered December 23rd after testing all of them to no success. I don't know if you guys make special cocktails on the holidays, but I was hosting and I wanted to bring something fun up that way. But I couldn't get it. I couldn't nail it down. And I hate that. I hate putting all the work in. I like the drunk from it, but I hated that.
Yeah, I saw a video that, like, it might have been the same one you saw. It was like 3 different gingerbread cocktails, and I was like, these all sound good in different ways, but it also kind of sounds like a pain in the ass. It's always like you're like 3/4 of the way there with like shit you probably already have in your bar, and then it's like, make a ginger spiced demerara syrup, and you're like, what the fuck did you just say? Yeah, so we host like a happy hour for Christmas Day, so we get to, that's like the trade-off for actually being able to stay home for Christmas morning, right? So we host people in the afternoon, and I made a punch, and it's fine. Like, punch is always fine. It's always easy, which is nice. You just throw a bunch of shit together and serve it. But it's always bullshit. Like, punch overrated. Not a fan. Like, I'd rather just like drink booze straight, or champagne straight, or whatever you're putting in it. It's just too juice heavy. It's just like sits in your stomach. It's like too much sugar. You're full.
I like the speed of punch. You're at the bowl, you ladle, you're gone, right? It's in and out. If you've got a cocktail making station, obviously that's delicious.
It's efficient.
You've got some options, but the cocktail station, you can get a line backing up there if you've got fun people with you. My family doesn't drink on the holidays really, so for me it's more about like what can I sneak in? You grab a beer in the garage, or go out the garage and pour some white wine in your orange juice, that kind of thing. That makes me sound really bad, doesn't it?
No, that's okay, man.
Andy's funneling a bottle of wine before he's walking into his in-laws' house, like in the driveway.
He has like a ripped up bottle of Zephyr Hills with like the label ripped off, with less vodka in it, and he only has the label ripped off. So when he goes into the fridge and gets it, he's like, "Oh, that's the good water bottle, right?"
Yeah, like the challenge you see, like who's doing the shot of vodka versus who's doing a shot of water, and Andy's just such a pro that he can just sip on a.
And he's crying inside as he's sipping his water, he's big eyes. Yeah, so
spicy.
Yeah, so I didn't get the espresso. I'm sorry, Andy. Did you have something else you want to add there before I go further into this gingerbread martini?
No, go for it.
I want to hear more about it. Yeah, keep going.
Yeah, so the gingerbread martini didn't work, but I make a killer espresso martini. Like, I've gotten it. I can make it with tequila.
I can vouch for that.
The tequila one is crazy. It really works well. But I was just making the vodka one this time, and they work. They're very successful, and they get you. They're like cocaine, kind of, because it gets you drunk, but it fucks you up. Your energy keeps going up and up.
It's like a high-class Four Loko, like original recipe Four Loko.
Yeah, it's a gentleman's Four Loko.
Yeah. Like the James Bond version of a Four Loko.
Yeah, when I was doing the gingerbread martinis, I meant to say this. It tasted like kids' medicine, but not like the kids' medicine you ever wanted to taste. Not like a Dimetap. Dimetap slaps, right? All-timer as far as good tasting medicine. It tastes like kids' Benadryl. Did you ever have to take Benadryl as a kid? And it had like that syrup and bad taste. That's how the gingerbread martini turned out.
Yeah.
It's a bummer. Are we giving up?
I think you need molasses to like recreate a gingerbread flavor. And if you don't have molasses, it doesn't get there.
I got gingerbread liqueur. It just wasn't going to work. But espresso martinis were working, right? So we host Christmas at my house. Everyone was drinking. Everyone was being social. We opened, me and the kids opened presents in the morning. We set up breakfast, and like grandma comes over. And then the rest of my family, more of the D-gens, come in around noon and set up a lunch spread. And then we'll open up presents once everyone gets some cocktails. And usually like 2:30 or 3. And we do like a Secret Santa, right? Or just a couple gifts, whatever. 6 o'clock hits, right? And everyone's kind of winding down. We're watching football. And I start seeing people really start to fade. Like the cocktails were really going hard. Everyone starts heading for the door. It's like 6 or 6:30. There was a safe driver for everybody, everyone who was overexposed, right? But as they were leaving, I go in and I say goodbye to everybody, and I go into the bathroom, and it is covered in vomit at my house. There are two culprits.
Did you immediately know, like retroactively, you're like, oh, this was definitely like Aunt Janet or like cousin Joey, like based on like your interaction when they left, you were like, oh no, it's definitely that person.
Yeah, no, there are a few people who were buzzed and a few people who were more than buzzed, right?
Okay.
And I went into
Narrows
the
it down
immediately after the party in order to bathe my daughter, get her ready for bed, whatever. Like my wife had done a lot of Christmas joy bringing prior that I was like, all right, I'll pick this up. So it's covered in vomit. The two culprits are both over 50 years old, right? So I have one of two reactions. One of two reactions. Should I take the low road and say, hey, you're over 50 years old. If you're going to drink, that's great. You shouldn't vomit anymore. Like at a party, you're too old for that shit? Or should I take the high road and think, hell yeah, you're over 50. You're really letting it fly. I'm proud of you, and I hope I can rage this hard when I'm 50 years old. I need to know how to handle the situation.
So I've got an answer for you. Mm-hmm. And I read one time that the one definition of intelligence is being able to hold two opposing ideas in your mind at the same time. Okay. You have to be pretty smart to be able to do that. I fully endorse both of the options that you did. Like 100%. I am on board with like, what the fuck? You're in your 50s, you're throwing up, like not even in the toilet, like all over the bathroom, like get your shit together. But at the same time, while fully believing that, I also fully believe fucking good for them.
Right.
I hold both of those in my mind at the same time, 100%.
See, I'm trying to think, like, you got to think of like the long game here, and like what's the funniest thing you could do. I guess it's really important if you can narrow it down to one person, or I mean, it sounds like you've got it down to two, so you got like a 50-50 shot. But maybe next time you host a party, you have like a gigantic barf bucket that you like is like labeled, and you put that like right in front of the toilet. So whenever, and you try and time it up so it's only there for when that person goes in the bathroom.
No, you print out the culprit's picture and put it on the bucket. You like have a bucket for this person.
No, I hand them
a bucket. You install a breathalyzer to like the cooler.
Or next time you're on an airplane, steal a couple of the barf bags. And hand them a barf bag when they walk in the door.
Get like a shower curtain attachment that like has the little like gusseted sleeves in it, and you can put all the barf bags in it.
Oh, yeah, it was. I didn't know how to feel.
Although then you might actually use it, and they're throwing bags of barf in your bathroom trash. So that's not great.
Yeah, I don't want that at all. I'd rather them use the toilet there. And look, it isn't a big deal at the end of the day. Yeah. I have kids. I get covered in feces and piss way too often. Even for my older child, it happens far too often. So I just didn't know. I wanted to bring it to the council. And anyone who's listened to this podcast, in the comments for this, let me know how I should react. Should I react and take the high road and just say, hell yeah, let's rage? Or should I take the low road and be pissed? Because
high road or low road?
I'm with Andy here where I like it, right? I like that people are still raging and getting after it, but come on now. Come on, you're an adult. Like,
well, you're gonna Michelle Obama this thing. When they go low, you're gonna go high.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Yeah, exactly. Right. I'm gonna be dignified here. I'm gonna be a lady of class.
I've always thought of you as a sort of a Michelle Obama, Matt.
Or actually, here's a funnier move. So next time you host a party that the suspects are present for, you dress up like a Chili's manager, and like halfway through, and you walk around and you're like, I'm sorry, you can't be served any longer. There's you've been cut off. You're welcome to stay and sober up. I can make you coffee, but you're done.
Cut off. Yeah, one of them always brings their own vodka because I never have.
It's that person. That's the person that.
I know who it is. Yeah,
sure. You should have led with that. That's the person. The person that brings their own vodka is the person who barfed on your bathroom.
So I always put out a liter of vodka, right, and it always goes right, and that's for a few adults. You can get after it a little bit, but they always bring up a backup liter of vodka. So I had a backup this time just because I'm like, it's Christmas. I'm not going to try to like stipend them. Like the whiskey always gets drank a respectable amount. The gin does too. That vodka disappears. That thing just goes. And I know, so yes, Yes, Al,
Yeah.
that's my suspicion. Is she is?
I don't think it's a suspicion. I think that's the smoking gun.
Yeah, I think I found
Like short of them, like catching them red-handed. That's as close as it gets.
But so I'm gonna try to handle this with dignity. If everyone in the chat, if I get any messages at all based on this, I will react that way. But thank you, counsel, for hearing me out.
Happy to chip in.
Yeah. Welcome to ChuggieBets, everybody. I'm Andy. That's Al. That's Matt. We've got some great picks for our part 3 of bowl season for you. But before we get to that, we're gonna take care. Cheers, boys.
Cheers.
Vomiting at someone's house. Unbelievable.
All right, so we had a really good week last week. We still have one bet that is pending. Danny's Kansas UNLV over is actually being played out as we are recording this. It's almost halftime, and they're at 35 points, so he is on his way to win that.
Nice.
With a nice second half. But with that one pending, we were 12-6. Matt was 3-2, 1 game over 500. I was 5-3, 2 games over 500, and Danny at the moment is 4-1, 3 games over 500. That could end up being 5-1 or 4-2. We all 3 won our Chuggy bets. So Al, get ready to drink.
Andy, you left me off. I've had my best week in like a month, I think. I didn't make any picks.
Stayed right at 500.
So it's a win in my book, trending in the right direction.
Yeah, so we'll end up either 12-7 or 13-6. Either way, really good. Definitely paying for some Christmas presents with that. So hope you followed all of us on that. Before we get into the picks for this week, I think we want to talk about a couple of things. Matt, your team is announced that they are suing the ACC to try and leave. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so there was a meeting scheduled for this either way, but the big money boosters at FSU, when they were left out of the playoffs, it really expedited the process where they started loosening up their pocketbooks, because the big winner in this scenario is billable hours. Billable hours are going to win, because this is going to be a fight, and it's going to be a fight of our lawyers versus your lawyers and a bunch of lawsuits. But FSU's Board of Trustees decided that they are no longer satisfied with being in the ACC. They are going to try to sue their way out of it. There are a couple options here. It's either that they allow the ACC to act on their behalf, and they didn't do a proper job of, because at that point, if you're a team, the ACC is essentially your agent, and they're supposed to get you as much money as possible. And the ACC's been dog shit at that for years, right? And if you are a team of Florida State, Miami, Clemson's caliber, you should be getting paid more. There's no reason. They haven't seen a pay increase, even with the rights going up, since 2016. It's bananas. There's a lot more money in the sport now than there was in 2016. And it's going to stay that way till 2034, right? The ACC is not working in its best behalf. Or they're going to say that there was an extension filed and that Florida State did not agree to the extension, and they need 3/4 of the teams to agree to it. Now, they're going to sue on one of those grounds. My thought on this is great. The ACC is dead to rights. And if this lawsuit works, you're going to see several other teams that are going to follow, because there's a precedent set, right? You're going to see Miami and Clemson. Some of these teams that are recognizable and have value in other conferences, they're going to go as well. What the fallout will be is teams like Boston College. Because if you can get out, that means for the ACC can probably get rid of you as well, right? Or the TV contracts can probably get rid of you as well. So there will be losers in this scenario, and I don't know necessarily how that'll come. And I feel bad for them, but at the same time, you have to get your money when you can get your money. And we cannot be delta negative $40 million in Florida being in the same state. Like, that just not going to win. That's not a palatable situation, especially as this whole sport goes to more revenue sharing in the future.
You know, how much is Nick Saban propping up the SEC, like all by himself?
A lot. He's a
right. And I mean, he's what, like 75 or something? Like, he's old. Like, he's not going to be doing this forever. So I think, at max, we got probably 5 more years of Saban, I would say.
They were saying this may be a swan song this year. There were a lot
like
of theories floated around.
like I don't think So I guess what I'm thinking is like, say Saban retires, and Kirby Smart's still doing well, but maybe he doesn't. It's a little too early to say he's going to be the next Saban, but uh, if the SEC has several, I would say 3 or 4 consecutive down years for the SEC where there's not really like a top tier program that's like dominating the rankings. What are we doing then? Are they going to go back and rebuild the Pac-12 and reconstruct the ACC, or like, are we just going to be stuck with 2 conferences that just might not actually be very good?
I think you're going to see a situation where the TV partners control this, right? And the 12-team playoff alleviates a little bit of this, like the ire that Florida State has. And trust me, I am spiteful, especially because this orange is going to be a catastrophe for us. But I'm spiteful because like they took away an opportunity for a really great team, and these opportunities don't come every year. Like unless you're Georgia and on a heater, like you don't get to the championship or the playoff rounds or win every fucking game and win your conferences. Those things are tough to do, even in the ACC.
Yeah,
like even in a lesser non-money to conference. I just think you're going to see the TV partners pushing their product and removing teams that are competitive in other conferences.
I just don't know, like, why are there even conferences?
It's a good question now. That is $1 million question.
Like, honestly, that sounds like the most complicated part of this is the fact that conferences exist. They just get rid of conferences as a idea, as an entity, and then just each network, whether they have conference networks or the main channels, just pay for the rights to each game individually. Who cares?
Yeah, Matt, I agree with you. It's really a shitty situation. Missing out on the 12-team playoff by 1 year because, like you said, these opportunities don't come around. Jordan Travis is gone. Who knows when the next time you're gonna have somebody that good. Like I remember in Illinois, we won the national championship in 1914, 1919, 1923, 1927. That's 4 in 13 years, and
it's a heater.
You just think it's going to keep happening in the 100 years since we've had one. It's tough out there. So.
It is. It's tough sledding. It's hard to rebuild, especially in those situations. You don't get the right option quarterback. It's really impossible.
They introduced the forward pass, and now you got to learn this whole new system. It's insane.
It gets very challenging.
Yeah,
I will be curious. The funny scenario is, look, we're under the assumption that one of these 2 conferences would take Florida State, and I do think they would. I think they're both playing ball right now because it's not worth the legal pain to say, you hear the SEC and the Big Ten like, oh, we don't have a spot. We're not taking any more schools right now. Okay, sure. You'd rather have Vanderbilt? Okay. Okay. You'd rather have Rutgers? Okay. I get that. But if there is a spot to be had, I'd be curious if they go back to the SEC because that's owned by ESPN. You're suing ESPN to go back to ESPN. Seems like a weird relationship. I would imagine Florida State's spot will be in the Big Ten. It just kind of lining up. And it's going to be freaking awkward. Road trips are going to be pain in the ass. But to Al's point, I don't think conferences will last much longer either. I think there'll be a restructure there as well.
Yeah, agreed.
Let's make some picks, huh?
Sounds good.
Do it.
All right. So our first pick is on Wednesday, December 27th at 2 p.m. The Military Bowl. Virginia Tech is taking on Tulane, and we've got a mini cyclone here, boys. I think we were pretty good on our mini cyclones last week. So, Al, tell the people what we got.
Tulane plus 10.5. I'll take the double-digit points with the better team, regardless of what the quarterback situation is going to be for them. They've got a good defense, like legitimately good defense, going against Virginia Tech, who, admittedly, Virginia Tech finished the season strong against bad or average opponents. But this is not a particularly – I don't understand why they're favored in this game.
Matt?
My thought here is that with Willie Fritz going to Houston, I think the head coach at Tulane, and I'm assuming Michael Pratt's not playing. Like, there's no way this is the number with Michael Pratt playing. It doesn't matter. 10.5 points is way too many points. Virginia Tech looks like they are improving. I like Drones, their quarterback. I think I could see being a very scary player going forward, and there being joy back in Blacksburg. But 10.5 is too many points, especially for this is the Military Bowl, boys. This is a big one. You think Tulane's going to take a day off at the Military Bowl?
Love it. I'm on it too. Too many points. 10.5 all day. Following that up, Wednesday, December 27th at 5:30 p.m., we've got the Duke's Mayo Bowl. Always fun to watch them dump that cooler of mayonnaise over the winning coach. The sound that it makes as it pops out of a 5-gallon cooler.
It would be cooler if it was actually mayonnaise, but they like water it down so that it pours into some weird like coleslaw dressing type consistency, and it sketches me. I'd rather get a bunch of mayo dumped on me than whatever that
it's disgusting
stuff is. I hate it.
Well, I'm going over North Carolina, West Virginia, over 54. We're going to root for points. It seems like a lot of these games are going over. Even if it looks low at halftime, a lot of these teams are scoring a ton of points in the second half. Over 54.
I got to say, I really appreciate I can't let this opportunity pass by. So we've got Mac Brown at North Carolina in the Duke's Mayo Bowl. And every time that situation presents itself where the Duke Bowl or the Duke's Mayo Bowl comes up or Mac Brown, I always think of the quote when I think it was last year, or maybe the year before, where they asked the coaches, I think it was him and Skip Holtz, they were like, what would you do to win the bowl game? Or like, do you mind like having a jar of mayonnaise dumped on you? And Mac Brown was like, you could hit me in the face with a frying pan. I don't care. Like that quote just fucking kills me. It's the man who's dead inside for sure.
That's amazing. All right, then same night, Wednesday night, 8 p.m. the Holiday Bowl. Louisville taking on USC. We've got a little bit of a fight on our hands, so I'll go first, and then you guys can tell me why I'm wrong. I'm going over 58.5. I know Caleb Williams opted out, but I have a theory when it comes to bowl games is that these schools know, they've known since Thanksgiving that Caleb Williams wasn't playing. So they've had plenty of time to get their backup, the first team reps. It's not the same as when, a quarterback rolls their ankle on Thursday in practice and then somebody else is starting on Saturday. They've got plenty of time. So I'm going over 58.5 and I'm taking USC plus the 7. I think Lincoln Riley has something to prove. He has a very similar record to Clay Helton through 2 years, which is not something you ever want to hear. So USC for me. Now you guys can tell me why I'm wrong.
Yeah, it just seems too easy. Like USC has a bad defense. The only thing that kept them competitive in every game that they were competitive in was Caleb Williams. And they're not going to have him. And Louisville is, as far as I know, playing everyone. Nobody's like sitting out of this. They don't have any coaching changes. They don't really. This is probably their best season in like a decade.
Yeah, so, like 7 or 8 years probably.
Yeah, so I think they want to put a cherry on top, and I think taking down USC in the Holiday Bowl is a great way to do it. One thing I just looked at thinking about this bet was possibly the Louisville team total over, but the team total number looks like it's at 33.5, which I think they can probably still hit. I'd probably still consider it, but I'll just stick with Louisville minus 7.
Yeah, I think Andy brought up a really good point. What is everyone's perception of Lincoln Riley? Lincoln Riley really needs to rebuild himself. I think you'll see bigger investment from Lincoln Riley's perspective. My question is, are the players in that roster, are they going to buy in? And if you take Caleb Williams out of it, I know Louisville's roster buys into what Jeff Brom's doing. He's really improved the product there, and they look a lot better. That's a pretty good football team. With that being said, 7 points is a lot of points, especially when the game's going to be played in San Diego. So it's not a far trip from Los Angeles, but I'm not worried about USC fans. Lay the 7 with Louisville.
So Al, I know you said Louisville was pretty good this year, had a good season. I watched them almost lose to FSU with Glenn Beck at quarterback.
You watched them lose. They did lose to you. FSU.
Yeah, that's what I meant. They did lose to Glenn Beck. He was doing the Dr. Pepper chest push pass. No, absolutely not. Louisville. It might have been a good season for Louisville. That doesn't make Louisville good.
Okay.
Same night, pretty much the same time, 9 p.m. The Texas Bowl. We got Texas A&M taking on Oklahoma State. We got another fight here, but Al, I'll let you go first.
We're not fighting. Matt and I are predator handshaking this bad boy. He's Carl Weathers and I'm Arnie. We're laying 10 with SMU and taking. Oh no, sorry,
no,
you're bowl. Sorry.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, Matt or Andy, fuck you. I'm taking Oklahoma State minus 2.5. Oh.
And I'm going to take A&M plus 2.5. They're finally rid of that giant albatross of Jimbo Fisher hanging around their neck. A&M plus 2.5.
So their interim coach has actually coached one game?
I think so.
Oh, was it just one?
Maybe
It was a couple. Yeah,
maybe a couple. Okay. Yeah. I don't know. I just think Oklahoma State. I'm not going to want to root for them. I don't like Gundy, but
I'm a man.
Yeah.
40.
I'm not going to trust A&M until they show it to me.
All right. Now, Al, would you like to tell us about the Fenway Bowl with SMU playing Boston College?
Yeah. So Matt and I are in full agreement here. We're laying 10 with SMU and taking the over at 47. I assume Boston College will chip in here, but I anticipate SMU putting up the lion's share of the points in this one.
Yeah, SMU is really good. For some reason, people don't know SMU is good, and they're really good. My problem here is the game's in Boston, and 10 points is a lot of points in a bowl game, but SMU is a lot better, 10 points, more than 10 points better than Boston College in any environment, so lay the points with SMU and take the over. SMU's got a friggin' high-powered offense. Rhett Lashley knows how to score points, and I think they'll score points.
I hope I can pull these. I hope I can pull these weekday games up, in office, do some work, but have the game on my side screen. That seems like a really nice situation.
I don't love an 11 a.m. kick. That's a bit of a problem for overs, and there's a really good system of always taking the unders in baseball stadiums. But 48, you got to roll the dice. You got to give it a shot.
Yeah.
I was really close to being on both of these with you, and we would have had a full-on cyclone. But some of the things you just mentioned, the baseball stadium, it's in Boston. It's 11 a.m. I'm going to stay away, but I, fully support you guys. Same day, a little bit later, 2:15 p.m., the Pinstripe Bowl, another baseball stadium. We got Rutgers playing the U. Matt, tell the people why you and I are both taking Miami plus 1.5.
Miami and Rutgers can be like the Spider-Man meme pointing at each other, and they're kind of the same team, right? That's what the numbers indicate. Miami does not have a quarterback, right? They do not have a quarterback right now. I think Ja'Cory Brown may be starting.
Correct.
I think. And while he has speed, I do not see this being a lot of points from that. Miami's defense is really good, and Rutgers doesn't have a great passing game. They'll be able to keep them one-dimensional and make sure they're staying on the run and keep them behind the sticks. I like the under in this game, too, at under 40.5 because it's going to be a dogfight, but take the point with Miami. A lot better roster, a lot more talented roster, regardless of the quarterback situation.
I want to believe. I want to support you guys. I'm just not going to bet it. I probably won't watch it, to be honest. It's on at 2:00 on Thursday. If I remember, I'll pull it up. But yeah, I mean, this is Rutgers basically playing at home here, right? I mean, just across state lines.
Bridge and tunnel away.
Yeah.
All right. And then at a little bit more of a reasonable time, Thursday, December 28th, 5:45 p.m., we got the Pop-Tart Bowl. I feel like the Pop-Tart Bowl should have been the one that was in the morning. No?
It makes more sense.
Yeah. Anyway, we've got NC State taking on Kansas State. Al and I are both laying 2 with Kansas State. I'm also on the over. I'm taking over 47 here. Al, you have anything you want to add on Kansas State?
Yeah, I'm just gonna keep an eye on the edible Pop-Tart costume, see whether it's total bullshit or if it actually looks appealing, or if anyone actually eats it or bites them. How drunk would you have to be to essentially run on the field and take a bite out of the Pop-Tart?
What flavor? Do we know the flavor? Because I'm not going to risk it
I'm gonna
all.
Google it and see.
No, you're
Have
gonna
you guys
bing it.
seen the trophy yet? It is a football that has two toasters like slits and two actual Pop-Tarts sticking out. It's glorious. It's the most college football trophy. And of course they're in Orlando, so the picture of the trophy is in front of a roller coaster. It is just like such a college football thing. It's beautiful.
Oh damn, that game's in Miami or in Orlando rather. I
Yeah.
might, if I had more foresight, I'd have drove down for it. Maybe
It'll
I'll
be-
be that guy.
It'll be a fun game. NC State is pretty good. Like people sleep on NC State. Kansas State's pretty good. I know Will Howard's not playing, but I don't sleep on Chris Kleiman. He's like Uncle Kyle to me. He's almost always an automatic go.
Yeah.
But that I can't wait to see the mascot. I'm more excited. They've done it. They've done it marketing wise. That is going to be that and
It's the most exciting branded bowl game since the famous Toastery Bowl.
That is a good one. I forgot I have a system play I have to play. So
In that one? Or?
No.
Right.
I have to do it.
All right. Rounding out the 28th, 9:15 p.m. in the Alamo Bowl. Arizona is taking on Oklahoma. I don't feel great about this. It scares me a little bit. I'm thinking Oklahoma plus 2.5. My numbers say I have to do it. Yeah, I'm scared, but I'm doing it.
I hate that this game is on so late on a Thursday.
Oh, it's awesome. Dude, this is like the perfect nightcap for your football, right? So you had Fenway in the morning, sponsored by Wasabi. And I don't know if that's big wasabi, like the green sushi accoutrement.
Big wasabi, that's what they called me in middle school.
Big wasabi. You've got the Pinstripe Bowl, which I think it's always sponsored by New Era. So you got hats, wasabi, you have a little bit of a Pop-Tart, and then you're going to the Alamo Bowl, who I don't know who sponsored it, but I will.
Alamo? The car rental place?
It is the Valero.
Caps.
You got some gasoline to end it, right? You got to go get some gas. You got to go
burning the shit down.
You always take the over in the Alamo Bowl. That's it. You always take the over in the Alamo Bowl. Controlled climate, perfect weather, two really fun offenses. You guys are going to learn about Jackson Arnold. Yeah, Dylan Gabriel's gone. Oh no, Jackson Arnold's better. I can't wait for this game. Fafita's going to be there over 61. Always take the over in the Alamo Bowl, and these two teams work.
I like that.
Yeah, that sounds like fun. I might follow you on that. Not for the pod. I'll let you have that on the pod, but that sounds like fun. All right. Friday, December 29th at noon, the Gator Bowl, Clemson and Kentucky. Al, you've got to play on this one?
Yeah, I'm laying 4 with Clemson. Dabo's he cares too much about appearances. He needs to show out in the bowl game, so he wants to put a nice little cap to this season that doesn't matter, the forgotten season. So I think he's going to go out and actually care about this game, whereas I think Kentucky will probably just be there for whatever someone comes to Jacksonville for.
I don't have this in front of me. I'll bing it in a second, but I believe that Clemson got absolutely smoked in their bowl game last year. I think I don't know why. I just have a feeling that a bunch of us were on Clemson in their bowl game and they got smoked. I could be wrong. I'll bing in a minute, but that would make me a little bit afraid, just because your reasoning behind it is that Dabo's.
They lost 31-14 to Tennessee in the Orange Bowl last year.
Okay. Maybe not quite as bad as I remember, but that's not super competitive.
Actually, it might be onto something though, because it seems like if it's not a playoff game or a championship game, they're a little bit lackluster.
Yeah.
Although it might be quality of opponent. I think Kentucky's a significant step down than the caliber of opponent they played in recent bowl games.
From Tennessee, yeah, it's fair.
A lot of Ohio States and Alabamas on that list.
Yeah.
So.
All right, and then at 2 p.m. on Friday, the Sun Bowl, Oregon State going into play Notre Dame. I'm taking over 42. This scares me a little bit because I don't know who's playing quarterback for Oregon State, and Notre Dame has a pretty good defense, but 42 is a pretty low number. I'm hoping for points. Should be a fun game. I'm going over 42. Matt, you got to play on this one as well?
Yeah, first of all, this is the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl. I didn't know Tony the Tiger had enough clout to just carry the bowl by himself. Not
the Frosted Flakes, not the Kellogg's. It's the Tony the Tiger Bowl.
It's not even the product he represents, just the mascot. That's like saying the Geico Gecko, but not the insurance. Just the Gecko is sponsoring this, or some dumb shit like that.
I can't even think of another good example.
To Andy's point, I don't know who's playing offense for Oregon State at all.
The Flow Bowl.
Like they lost their backup quarterback they were really excited about. He's going to Michigan State. Their coach is at Michigan State already, Jonathan Smith, who's kind of been the engine that let that team roll. They've been a pretty good team over the past couple of years because of him. I see this being a letdown spot. I don't know if I like the over as much as I like Oregon State's team total under 17.5. There is a 17.5 out there. There's a bunch of 17s, which is a safe number, but 17.5 is really good.
Nice. I like it. And then the first bowl game of this slate that we don't have a pick on is on Friday at 3:30 p.m. The Liberty Bowl. Memphis is taking on Iowa State. Anybody have thoughts on that, or should we keep rolling?
I told you last week, this is the future 2025 when quarterbacks get hurt in the NFL. These two quarterbacks will somehow be on a roster. Rocco Becht versus Hannigan. See your future backup quarterbacks in the NFL this week at the Liberty Bowl.
I considered the over in this game, but I didn't make it a pick.
Yeah, it's a good side to be on.
It's like 57 or 58, somewhere in that range. So,
all right. Then to close out Friday, 8 p.m., the Cotton Bowl, Missouri is taking on Ohio State. I'm laying the 1 point with Ohio State. I thought it would be a lot higher than this. It's probably because Kyle McCord is gone. Marvin Harrison Jr. is gone. A bunch of other people are gone. But Ohio State has guys behind them to reload. And back to what I said about Caleb Williams, these guys have been practicing with the first team, getting the reps since Thanksgiving. They're going to be there. They're going to be ready to go. Even Ohio State's second stringers with a month to practice, still better than Missouri. Although Missouri had a great season, not to take anything away from them, but they're not Ohio State.
Yeah, I'm doing the same thing. And I sort of equate this to like Liverpool versus Aston Villa, right? So it's like, it doesn't really matter who's playing for Liverpool. They're going to be the more talented side. You know what I mean? So who's in, who's out, I'm not really that concerned with. This is essentially a pick 'em, and I pick Ohio State.
I think there's a question of motivation here, right? What does Ohio State have to play for? Yes, they have one loss. They had a spectacular season by all account. 11-1 is really good. Missouri really had an amazing season for Missouri. And they're kind of building something here. Eli Drinkwitz is a great coach. Ryan Day is also a great coach. I think you're going to see motivation here, more motivation from a Missouri side than Ohio State side that may be going through the motions a little bit. I think you're right as far as talent, but I do think motivation. I think you're going to see Missouri try harder, and that's why I will not play this game with you.
I think I disagree with you because based solely on like how petty Ryan Day is. You know, like when he manufactured that whole like drama post-game speech when they beat Iowa or some bullshit.
When he blasted Lou Holtz?
Yeah.
Where's Lou Holtz at?
Yeah, you know, you telling me he doesn't have the exact same speech. He's been chirping out at his players for the past month. I'm sure he wants a win here so he can say, look, the only team we lost to won the national championship. We should have been in the playoffs, blah, blah, whatever.
Sure. Right.
Mess he wants to throw out there.
Yeah, I agree. Ryan Day's petty, even to the point where if Michigan or Washington loses a game in the playoffs and ends up with one loss, if they both end up with one loss, like he's going to be out here being like, we're just as good as like we basically are the national champions because we only have one loss as well. That's the kind of shit that Ohio State spews, and it's disgusting. But also, because it's a gambling podcast, Matt, if somebody had asked me over under Luther Burden references you were going to give while talking about Missouri.
I
They could have
know.
put the number at 3.5, and I would have taken the over. I cannot believe you got through that without a Luther Burden.
I didn't. He's spectacular. And Missouri is doing some things. I think we talked about this. They're NIL now. If you're an in-state kid, you can get paid in high school. If you go to a Missouri college, if you sign your NLI to get NIL. Jesus, those letters are tough. They're the same ones. If you sign your national letter of intent, you get NIL in high school. So they're keeping players like Luther Burden and all these spectacular athletes in Missouri that always go to Alabama or somewhere else. And it'll be super fun. They're going to get better. They're going to be a really good team.
Well, it's funny too that you're like a school in Missouri. It's like the school in Missouri. Like how many Missouri schools are there in Division I?
Well, they used to go over to Illinois or like that. East St. Louis is in Illinois, right? So it's not even that crazy to get bleed over into the rest of the Midwest or the rest of the Big Ten.
Yeah.
I think I'm right. East St. Louis is in Illinois.
It is.
Yeah,
absolutely. Oh, that is correct. Then moving into the weekend, the last full weekend of college football for this year. Kind of bittersweet. Enjoy it. Tell your family one last day for them to F off and go find something else to do. We are watching football on Saturday, December 30th, noon, the Peach Bowl, Ole Miss, Penn State. Matt, I'll let you kick this one off.
Yeah, this is a really tricky game for me to bet. I think Penn State is the better team. I think their defense is spectacular. I think their defense is the best in the country. Better than the Michigan, better than a couple other teams I've seen out there. Their offense is suspect, and they're going against Lane Kiffin. But I think they're going to be able to counteract Lane Kiffin by being superior at the defensive line position. I am going to lay the 4.5 points with Penn State. I hope Penn State can find the scoring aptitude because I like to bet the over in this too. But I'm not because while Drew Aller showed improvement, I think you'll see the improvement more next year and not in this game.
You know, we've been talking about motivation for a bowl game. And is there a coach that strikes you as someone who would be less motivated to win a inconsequential bowl game than Lane Kiffin? These dudes are all like in vacation mode. Penn State, on the other hand, James Franklin, this is like his Super Bowl. So I think laying 4.5 Penn State feels good to me.
Yeah,
so
James Franklin is going to leverage this to get another contract raise. That's his annual contract raise where he talks to NFL teams.
Yep. All right, then Saturday at 2 p.m., the Music City Bowl, Auburn, Maryland. I was real close to pulling the trigger with Maryland, and then I remembered that Tua's brother is not playing because he may be going to Miami or somewhere else. So I don't have a play on this. Anybody else have thoughts?
No, I don't.
I really wanted to bet Maryland. I wish he was playing, but
you still can.
Yeah, not without. Tualia, is that?
Talia.
All right.
That's hard.
Then at 4 p.m. on Saturday, we've got the Orange Bowl. We know at least 2/5 of this podcast will be glued to their TVs for this one.
And 2/5 of the Florida State roster will be playing in it.
Ooh.
That's a good one. I've got a bet here. I made this before I talked to Matt, so I'm going to let him go in just a moment, and you'll hear why I don't love this anymore. But I took FSU plus 17.5. I knew Jordan Travis was gone. I knew some other people wouldn't play, but wasn't aware of the full extent of it. So, Matt, why don't you tell the people?
Yeah, Florida State has seen unprecedented holdouts. I mean, people getting ready for the draft, right? They had invested into a playoff run. The playoff run didn't come, and these guys are ready to get paid. I don't fault them at all, right? Who cares? This is just a meaningless bowl game, and I know the Orange Bowl holds like platitudes 15 years ago. It doesn't matter anymore. But let me give you some fun stats now that Tate Rodemaker went into the transfer portal and will not be playing this week. And that was the backup quarterback to Jordan Travis. On the roster currently, Florida State will be without 96% of their completed passes on the year. 100% of their passing touchdowns will not be playing. Let's see. 85.4% of their rushing attempts will not be playing. 91% of their rushing touchdowns will not be playing. 76% of their receptions will not be playing. On defense, 31% of their sacks, 33% of their quarterback hustles. And that's really the look. Florida State's going to be without a lot of offensive skill talent. Both wide receivers are gone, quarterbacks are gone. Top running backs go in the draft. The backup's just not playing. He's not healthy right now. And their pass rush is going to be bad because Verse and Fisk and a bunch of other guys and their best corner will be sitting out as well. I don't have high hopes here. I'm not going to bet against Florida State at 17.5, but I would probably bet that way if I had to make the play. I'd lay in with Georgia.
Al, any thoughts, or should we move on to the last one for Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, I think that about sums it up. I mean, 17.5 points is a lot to cover for a Georgia team that also doesn't have anything to play for, and will probably also have a lot of guys in a lot of percentages of their offense and defense missing this game. So I think I still would probably take FSU plus 17.5 if I had to choose a side, but I don't, so I won't.
Love it. All right, and then our final bowl game on Saturdays at 4:30 p.m. The Arizona Bowl, Toledo, Wyoming. Don't have a play on this one. Anybody have thoughts?
Those sure are two places.
They exist.
Playing in the third place.
I would have, the Arizona Bowl. I'll find the sponsor for a second. I would have bet Toledo before DeQuan Finn went to Baylor. I don't know. No, I have nothing to play with.
Yeah.
All right, and then we've got the New Year's Bowls on January 1st, Monday at noon. The ReliaQuest Bowl, Wisconsin, LSU. I know Jaden Daniels not playing. I've read some articles that he is potentially passing Drake May for maybe the second quarterback taken in the draft. I think that's going to be pretty interesting to watch. Does anybody have any thoughts on this one? I know we don't have any plays.
I think that makes sense.
I think this is a fun
Daniels
game.
is very good.
It is a game.
I'll be curious to see if Malik Neighbors is playing. I haven't looked into LSU's roster.
I would assume he's not also.
Yeah, I assume he's not.
Anyone who's
first round pick.
Yeah, a notable name. Anyone that, name as many guys as you can on LSU. Jaden Daniels and Malik Neighbors. Yeah, that's it. Those guys are going to play,
Yeah. I think it'll be a fun game, though. I'm curious to see Luke Fickell's offense and give it a little bit more of an eyeball, especially at a noon spot where I guess there's other games on, but I don't care about them as much. I think this is the game. Oh, no, there's a game I'm going to watch. But, I'm going to have this on one of the screens for sure. I'm going to watch it. This will be fun entertainment.
All right, then at 1 o'clock, we've got the Fiesta Bowl, Liberty, Oregon. Al, we're on the same play here. Tell the people what we got.
Yeah, lay it with Oregon. Bet the mortgage on it. 17, I see still. So you can get Oregon minus 17 against Liberty. I believe Bo Nix is playing. This is going to be like a full Oregon team playing Liberty. That shouldn't even be in a New Year's Day Bowl. I mean, sure, they went 11-1 or 12. Okay, great.
Yeah, but they didn't have to play Washington twice.
They didn't have to play anyone, the D1, basically. Like, who the hell did they play?
Oregon would be undefeated if they hadn't played Washington twice also.
Yeah.
So.
Also, one thing I want to say is we've got, 100 bowl games maybe spread out over the course of 3 weeks. Why the hell do we have games overlapping? This game is on 1 hour after the Wisconsin LSU game kicks and at the same time as the next game. And I don't want to have to choose between the 3 of those. I mean, it's nice having the multi-screen experience, but I'd rather be able to watch all of these games. You know what I mean? Anyhow, old man cranky.
I don't mind the overlapping games as much because I will have, multiple games on the same screen, or I have multiple screens. That's not as much of a problem for me. For me, it's the days and nights when there are no bowl games. You'll have bowl games Monday, Tuesday, then nothing Wednesday, and then back on Thursday, Friday. Give me a bowl game on Wednesday. What else am I supposed to do?
Put Wisconsin LSU on Wednesday night.
Exactly. All right. So I'm with you. Oregon laying the points. That's the biggest points I've laid on this pod for sure.
That is a lot. Damn, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
17. Yikes.
I didn't think Bo Nix was playing, so I wasn't going to. But with Bo Nix, that's
expected to play.
Yeah, I mean, you never know. But all right, and then at the same time, 1 p.m. the Citrus Bowl, pod favorite Iowa taking on Tennessee. We got 2 plays here. Matt, what do you got?
Where is Tennessee going to score? I understand that Heupel likes to run that like extremely wide offense where everyone's kind of touching the sidelines and running and spread Iowa. Sure. Good luck. Good luck. You're going to give me 22 and a half points. Oh, I'm going to take under 22 and a half for Iowa for sure. Like for Iowa to pull out the upset and keep this game super low. And then those poor bastards at the Citrus Bowl, you're going to have a tough watch. But I'm in. I'm going to watch it.
Yeah, I have similar thoughts. Give Iowa's defense a month to prep, a month to rest, a month to get healthy. They're not letting up any points. Iowa scores a safety and wins this one. Iowa +8 all day.
Yeah, I love it. On team total under 22 and a half, +8. Iowa's going to keep this real messy. You're going to give Iowa more than one score? Well, what are we doing here?
Yeah, Tennessee has to score at least twice for them to not cover, and I don't know if I see that happening.
I don't see it.
All right, and then we're into the main event, the 2 playoff games, 5 p.m. on Monday, New Year's Day. We've got the Rose Bowl, Alabama, Michigan. Matt and I are both laying the one with Michigan. I know Bama, only has the one loss, and it was a pretty decent loss, but they still snuck in the back door of the playoff. A month ago, nobody was talking about Bama. Michigan, people have been talking about since last offseason. Harbaugh's going to have those guys ready to go. I'm laying the one with Michigan. Matt, you're on that with me, right?
Yeah, I still don't think Alabama's anything special. Like, I know they beat Georgia, but Milroe has a couple tricks and they're really good. But this is not that great, overwhelming Alabama team. And I don't think McCarthy's played great for Michigan down the stretch either. But I think everything else from Michigan is dominant. I think their line is awesome. Their defense is awesome. Like, if McCarthy was more of a sure thing, it was September McCarthy and not November McCarthy, I'd feel real good about it. But Michigan lay the one because they are better on both sides of the line, which is a weird thing to say against Alabama.
So I'm on the other side, taking Bama +2. There's still 2 out there. I don't feel as good about this as I did a couple, 2 or 3 weeks ago, but I still think it's dumb to pick against Nick Saban when he has a month to prep, and he's still got a roster that's 90 guys deep that are all 5 stars. So like the talent disparity, I think, is probably going to be as small as it's been in a game Michigan has played in probably 2 years. Maybe with the exception of 1 or 2 Ohio State games, which again, those were down to the wire games. I just think Saban's going to have shit figured out. Like he always does, you know what I mean? It's like the regular season thing is what it is, but it's when he has these long stretch of time to prep and actually like dive into the tape and scout an opponent and find the weaknesses. And I don't know, it's just always really impressive to me. So yeah, I'll take 2 with Bama.
I get it, right? The number is what it is. It's going to be a really good ball game. It's going to be very close. But before I forget, make sure you drink, Al.
Okay.
Good call. Yeah, I don't hate anything you're saying, Al. I've bet on Bama more this season than I have probably in the last 5 years combined. And
it's the worst Bama team that's been in that time,
Yeah, but it's because they're not 23-point favorites in every single game.
Yeah.
So I get it, but yeah, I just think Michigan's better.
This line also hasn't moved. Like it's moved a point, but like that's if you're digging through books. It's still largely at 1.5 or 2, where it opened at 2. So like it's not like people are out there really, or the books aren't really moving the line.
Yeah, it's been bouncing.
Despite what sounds like a lot of people are betting on Bama here.
It's been bouncing between -1 and -2, just back and forth the whole time, which are pretty meaningless numbers, really. So
yeah.
All right, and then we've got the other one to see who faces Michigan in the national championship game at 8:45 p.m. The Sugar Bowl, Texas taking on Washington. I am going to go under here. I know it's a little bit scary with Michael Penix and Quinn Ewers and putting up tons of points, but it's a big number. So I'm just hoping for a couple of stops, and it's not going to take a ton to go under this number. I'm also on Washington +4. Al, you're on that with me, so I'll let you.
Yeah, so it's a little bit curious to me because I think I would expect that total to be a little bit higher in this matchup, and I also think that if you like the game to go under, that would trend toward Texas covering. I really think if Washington wins this game, it's probably going to be because they outscore their opponent, obviously. But I do like Washington +4 here. I think
it's a good way to win.
Yeah, well, you know what I mean. Outgun them. So they're going to win a shootout as opposed to winning with their defense. So
I knew what you meant.
I'll take Washington +4 though. I've kind of shit on Texas all year. They're just like, I'm not really shitting on them. They're a fine team, but it's just like, meh. I don't get that pop. That's not like a national championship caliber team in what I've seen from them. So Washington is kind of like, obviously everything goes through Penix, but really they just have so much talent at receiver. They've got 3 dudes that are probably going to be first rounders.
Yeah, they're going to get paid. Yeah, Roman Dunn is good.
Yeah, I think the headaches that I would say the Texas defensive staff has probably gone through several rolls of like Rolaids, antacids. Like their guts are in a bind trying to figure out how to stop that offense.
Yeah, there's only one weak unit I see in this matchup, and it's Washington's defense. Washington has the best offensive line. They were rated the best collective offensive line in the country. They're very good, super talented on the outside. Dylan Johnson has found his legs under him running. Michael Penix is good. Nothing to complain about on the offensive side. But Texas is going to be the best defense they faced, right? They're going to get a considerable challenge, especially from the defensive line. They have monsters inside. They don't have like guys who just eat space on the defensive tackles. They have people who disrupt plays, and they have a lot of talent. They have enough cornerbacks to make it interesting. Texas's offensive line is good, and Washington's defensive line, while serviceable, it's not. Texas's offense is good. They roll. Quinn Ewers is good. They've got C.J. Baxter. They've got Xavier Worthy. They have A.D. Mitchell. They've got a ton of talent. I think Texas is, and Al was saying something beforehand. When you see spreads of 4-6, it's kind of like you may want to pull the trigger on the 4-6. And I'm going to do that. I'm going to lay the 4 with Texas. I do think they're better. I think this will be a really fun game. I'm going to sit hungover at 8. Oh, it's 8:45. Hopefully I'm not hungover by then. But I'm going to sit and enjoy this game. This should be a really great game.
Yeah, I think it's a perfect nightcap.
Yep, should be a lot of fun.
Wait, do I have work the next day? Because that's some bullshit.
We do.
I think most people do, yeah.
Yeah.
Unless you want to use your first PTO day of the year on the first day of the year.
Yeah.
You can always do that. That's a classic.
So is this our final college football Chuggy Bets of the year?
I mean,
we could probably do like a 10-minute one, recapping the games and then picking the championship game. Oh, we can probably do like props or something for that.
That's true. We could do a deeper, like a 20-minute dive into that game because it's going to be a good one. Whatever. I'm really excited. The playoffs, while I'm upset, I get it. And these games should be great. They should be really, really fun to watch.
Real quick, before we wrap up, not who you think will win because we've already gone pretty deep into that, but what would be your ideal national championship matchup? Like, what do you think the most interesting pairing is of these 4 teams?
For me or for like the mainstream media?
Both, either.
Mainstream media, Alabama, Texas, right? They get the rematch of the game. Alabama comes out and wins it and blah, blah, blah. I get that. For me,
plus future SEC.
Yeah. And for me, I don't want Alabama to win because of what happened. So I would choose Michigan. And I think it's fun. I haven't seen Washington be great since like the beginning of the 90s. So I like Michael Penix too. I don't think they have the capacity to win it all. I think they've got to be the longest odds here. And I think it's for a good reason. But I'd like to watch Washington lift the trophy.
I think I agree with Matt. So again, I think you get a great like 90s flashback nostalgia with the Michigan-Washington matchup. I also think those two teams would match up well, and it would be a good game. I think storyline-wise, it would be more interesting to see Bama-Washington, but I think the potential for like a real stinker of a championship game is way too high for me to say that would be the matchup I'd want to see. But yeah, give me Michigan, Washington.
I'm also going Michigan, Washington, all Big Ten national championship, baby. There we go. Big Ten wins it either way.
Hopefully we'll be there with you, buddy. I'll be celebrating with my Big Ten hat this time next year. Big Ten supporter, Matt.
Go Sports.
Absolutely. Welcome. You're going to have to cut the NLI deals for all your offensive players.
Oh, yeah.
And go get some linebackers and some big beef eaters up front.
I hope we get put in the Big Ten West, like the traditional Big Ten West. I don't want this West Coast Big Ten West. I want 3 yards, a cloud of dust. I want to have to eat all the words I've said bad about the Big Ten West.
I want to record. I want to clip this 12 seconds you just said that, Matt, and just play that back to you. Every year when FSU's struggling to beat Nebraska 12-10, yeah.
I don't want that. I don't want that at all. But I'll gladly do it.
All right. Well, cheers, boys. Thanks for a great college football season. If you've been listening and paying attention, we have made you so much money this year. Hope you spent that on your kids for Christmas. Enjoy the rest of the bowl games. It's almost over. And good night, Kent.
Cheers.
Good night, Joey.